Hello, I'm Robert, and you're welcome here in my busy little shop. On today's episode of What's on My Workbench, I've got a package to open up. But let me talk a little bit before we get to that package. My tooling, I've taken a few different tooling classes. I've done floral tooling, but I've really never developed very far into the floral tooling part. Most of my tooling has been geometric or maybe using some of the floral tools in a different way to create maybe just kind of a running pattern. There's nothing wrong with that. Everybody, I think, is on their own journey in leathercraft, and there's a lot of people out there that do floral tooling in a very good way. But I've had a few people make comments. I've purchased, some of my early stamps I purchased were Tandy stamps, but I really got into buying some of the Berry King stamps. I like the Berry King stamps. There's so many different cool patterns. And sometimes when you're looking at the stamps, you're like, how am I going to utilize this? On some of my videos, I get comments of people saying, you don't need a Berry King stamp to make a beautiful belt. And I agree, don't have to have that. And I've mentioned before, and I need to create some myself, but I've seen where people have used nails and bolts and made their own tools using some files and sanding and polishing and make absolutely fabulous looking designs. And I'm sure that that's pretty much how it started. I mean, Berry King's been making stamps for a while, but back in the 1800s, I don't think Berry King was making stamps, but there was tooling going on at that point. Lots of saddles and such. So where I'm going with this is I have people a lot of times say there's cheaper alternatives there. And I've had a few people ask me about using brass stamps and such, and I've never used, that was right, never used a brass stamp. But I had someone reach out to me and challenge me to try a different design of stamp. So let's get over here on the workbench. We're going to open this package up. We're going to talk a little bit about that, and we're going to do some testing of this product here. So I really do appreciate you taking time to be with me in the shop. Let's get over here on the workbench and we'll get started. So let's take a look here. Before I get into it, I counted this morning, over 70 Berry King stamps in the last, I guess it's been about 2 years since I started collecting Berry King stamps. It may be as short as 18 months. But someone was watching my videos and said, we've got some stamps we'd like you to test. So they sent me an email, and I haven't opened the package yet, but they said they were going to send me some stamps that I could probably utilize. And no, I didn't pay for these, but we're going to test them. And I said, look, I'll do this test, but I let the chips fall where they go. So if I like it, then I'll use it. If I don't like it, then I probably won't use them much. But when you look at a lot of the stamps, like we get into a stamp like this one here. This is one of my favorite stamps. It's the double axe head. So it looks like a double bitted axe right there. And there's two of them, so it's called the double axe head. And they can get expensive. I think this stamp is like $55. And I've had a few people ask me about using brass stamps. And I'm not sure they can handle the abuse. When I do a geometric stamp, unlike a floral stamp, when you're doing that, a lot of times a lot of repetitive strikes to create that pattern. But on the geometric stamp, like this one here, I might strike it more than once, but I prefer to hit it pretty hard and be done with it, kind of a once and done strike, so that you eliminate the chance of maybe a double impression or such. So that's kind of how I do my stamping. Let's open this up and we'll take a look here what we've got. Okay, so let's get in here and take a look. Here, in case you're wanting to know, and I'll put a link to this supplier, good, bad, or indifferent. We haven't tested it yet, but I'll put a link in my description of the video for the supplier where these came from. And then this is the information of what we're going to be testing today. We have a lined box stamp, number 31, Northstar box brass craft stamp, B124. A flower diamond brass stamp, B169, and a smooth Tuft leather craft stamp, a B87. And I have some Hermann Oak Leather here, and I've been adding a little bit of moisture to these. These are just some scraps that I had, and I cut them all from the same hide. So I'll add a little bit more moisture here. But this all came about because I received an email from the company for these stamps. It's Texas Leather Tools. I'll put a link to to all the information in my description as well. And I'm sure that they may put some comments in as well. And they're free to, I guess, respond to any questions or comments that you have. I don't have a problem with that at all. And that's with all the suppliers, and I usually make sure they know that, but I don't think I conveyed that in there. So if you've got questions on this, and if they want to answer those questions, then by all means go ahead and do that. But I've got some Hermann Oak leather. I pulled this piece of leather out of my scrap bin, and I cut them all from the exact same one here. I don't know if that's important to you, but I like to state the facts. And I know someone's going to say, how thick is the leather? This is 10 ounce. So let's take a look at these stamps. This one here is called Northstar, and I was really intrigued by that tool and wanted to see how it would work. And I do a lot of tooling on the belts more than anything else. I've made a few other projects that are tooled, but most of my tooling end up on belts, and I like a pattern that is somewhat easy for me to run and create maybe a unique looking belt. So when I saw this Northstar, and once more, that part number for the Northstar is a B124, I was really intrigued by that. So let's see how this runs. Yeah, I tell you what, you know, I do love my Barry King stamps. I keep going back to that because I want to be fair to everybody and make sure they understand. This stamp here is $20 on the website. This stamp here was, I believe it's, shoot, I should look that up, but it's like $55+ for this stamp. And they're bigger stamps. Obviously, there's a lot more steel here. I like the knurling here to hold on to. This is smooth, and I don't know that that's going to be an issue. I'm just kind of maybe overstating facts that you can see yourself, which is a little bit of what I do. Let's find the center of this. I want to use this bigger one here because I really think this might create a unique looking belt. So kind of back to where I think that the brass stamp fits in. There's stamps that you may want to purchase that, you know, potentially only get used a couple of times. And in that case, if you can find it in brass, that might make financial sense instead of spending a bunch of money on that. So let's see how this works. My lighting, I've got some shadows going here. So I just found like a center line there. I like to center off of that. There it is there. It's definitely a crisp design. I think I'll hook this. You can see it ends in a round tip there. I think my goal, I kind of played with it on paper, just drawing it out when I was looking at the different tools. And I was kind of curious to see how this could maybe run. I'm hoping that these will line up now this way. You know, I said before that, you know, when it comes to tooling, especially a geometric print, in my opinion, there are some that are going to be easier to line up than others. What I mean by that is if the tool's got a lot of like sloped area above it that you can't see the tool, then I think that may be a little bit of a challenge to line up. I was kind of intrigued with this one because of these, let me just hit one down here on the end here. and I'll show you what I'm talking about. But when you look at it, it has these rounded points on the end of this star pattern, which I thought would maybe make it easy to line up. And I think so far it has. So let me get you a little bit different view. I know, shadows. So I just hooked this this rounded point. I'll just hook this rounded point here in the last imprint and lay it over here on that center line. Theoretically, then I have a you know, a straight pattern there, and now I'll take this one here and this one here and line them up in those two outer points. And they should all line up here. And I'm striking it 3 times. Let's strike it once and see. It's a pretty sharp pattern. Yeah, that works just as well. Let's flip this around, finish the other side of this little run of the belt. I know, I've got lots of shadows going on here with my lighting. I've not made very many videos since I've returned here to Colorado. I've kind of been working on other projects, i.e. the self-imposed honeydew list. And then I did have a show where I've had some orders. So I've been kind of working with that, and I had some family visit. I know I'm filling dead air here while I'm working on this pattern. Tipped that one a little bit, didn't I? I moved another light. Let me see if this helps me. I'm kind of anxious to see. It's not unusual to get an errant placement of a stamp. And a stamp that I like is one that maybe when you do that, the errant placement gets kind of hidden in the run of the whole thing. And I was talking about, just as these subjects come up to mind here, I was talking in the comment section about bent or damaged stamps. And one person said, you should never be striking the stamp hard enough where you're going to bend the stamp anyway. That you need to have a little bit more finesse when tooling. But I don't remember finesse ever really being in my middle name. And I don't profess to be an expert at tooling, but a lot of my tooling patterns and sewing patterns are really what I think people are drawn to my belts about. I think I'm liking this stamp. I'm going to have to create a complete belt, I think, with this stamp. Tell you what, let's take, so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and finish tooling this strip, which is, I don't know, about 18 inches long. And when I get that finished, we'll come back and see what that one looks like, and we'll grab the next tool. So I'll be back here in just a few minutes. All right, so I finished it up. let's take a look here. So I finished the tooling. I'll tell you what, I think I like this pattern. The busyness of it helps to hide a few errant sets, and I had some of those until I moved some lighting around. I put another light off here on this side to get rid of some of the shadows that were causing me some frustrations. But you can see, like right here, I had an errant set of the stamp here. This one's rotated a little bit. But I think most people, you know, obviously they're not going to look at the belt like that. They're looking at it from a distance, you know, wrapped around somebody. But I really like it. The space on the edge here allows me my stitching without running into the pattern, which I like. I noticed that they basically have one size in these, and I know they do custom stamps. I wonder how hard it would be if you were to, say, order this, but you want it 80% of the size or 75% of the size. That would give me a little bit more room here for my stitching pattern. But I tell you what, I really like this detail, and the pattern is really sharp. You know, it's a very clear pattern. So that one is the Northstar. Let's grab another one here and let's take a look at it. Let's try this one here. This is I think it's called the Lined Box. And it has these rounded nubs on each side as well, which I think will maybe help with the lining up. Let's just see what it looks like here. That's interesting. So I've got another piece of this Hermann Oak Leather, and let me find the center of this scrap. I had somebody ask why I go from both sides. It's in case I have any variations in the width of the belt. This belt strap is not straight. You can see a little bobble there, but let's see how this sets. One reason why I entertained testing the stamp is it's a small business, and if you've been around for a while, you hear me talk about trying to utilize a small business. You know, really, for the most part, my viewers are small business owners themselves or just a craft, and so I like to be able to try to promote small businesses as much as I can. Let's come up here and do that same thing. And when I was approached by Texas Leather Tools about trying their tools, that was one of the things that I was intrigued by, was small business. The other thing, they asked me, they had a suggestion of a set of tools to try. But I went through and looked because I like to try to find things that are maybe unique. And in their first stamp, the selection was really a duplicate of some of what I already had. And so I was really interested in trying, you know, something a little bit differently there. Let me get you a little closer on this one as well. And once again, it has these circles or nubs, whatever you want to call them, that I can kind of hook in the previous one and line up on my center mark there. And again here. So I'm sure if anybody else out there likes using geometric stamps, they probably can really understand where I'm coming from as far as the ease of lining up the stamp, you know, to marry into the previous set stamps. And this is really pretty good. I know I'm holding this kind of funny. I'm trying to get rid of some of my shadows. My lighting in this shop is less desirable than what I have in my Arizona shop. There's like a big window here on the other side where I do most of my work there. Let me finish this tip and then we'll take a look at this. I was talking with Dean, it's been back a few months ago, and he had purchased the double axe head pattern, and the design of it made it really kind of hard to see because it's got a bunch of curves to get things lined up. That's what I'm talking about as far as, you know, how easy is it to place the stamp. I like that pattern. It's a little bit wider. I feel like this is a little bit bigger stance. I have less area on the edge, and it could just be because of the heaviness of the pattern. This is kind of a delicate looking pattern. I guess it's about the same. I think I would rather have this, you know, probably like 80% the size. And if I ran the stitching and I ran across those, that wouldn't be the end of the world either. Let me finish tooling this strap down here to the other end, and then we'll come back and take a look at it here. All right, I think I have it right. Just to help you out here, this is the B31, which is a lined box stamp made out of brass, and this again is from Texas Leather Tools. And I liked how easy it was to line up the geometric print. You can see that not every one of them is exactly set, but I think when you look at the overall effect of it, I think it's good. My stitch line out here is still, it's getting a little bit skinny. I don't know if I just set this one wider or if this is a slightly bigger tool, but I think it looks really good. I mean, tell me what you think. Do you like that one? Here are these two together. I do like that design. I like this, it kind of looks like a daisy here. So you kind of, your eye gets attracted to that pattern and then to the background pattern as well. Let's move on here. We'll come back and recap these. All right, so this next one is the diamond, and this is called the Flower Diamond stamp. It's a B169. We'll see how it looks. I already have a belt that I make that I refer to as the diamond back. Let's go ahead and see how this runs, I guess. We'll grab my next longest one here. This is cased. I've been keeping it cased here. I'm not sure. I've been striking them all 3 times. It's a pretty clean cut tool. I'm not sure if I need to strike it 3 times or not. Probably don't. The diamond that I make, I refer to as the diamond back on the belt. I usually strike it just once, fairly hard. A lot of times I'll use the 18-ounce mallet, and I don't necessarily case it as much as if I was doing, you know, a floral pattern. See how this marries in here. The one thing I notice on the Diamondback belt that a lot of times the stamps look like I've kind of stepped on the other one. In other words, it encroaches on the other one when I strike it. And I'm seeing that same here a little bit. But when you finish the pattern, that encroachment really doesn't show. And I always set back away from me, so I'll do this away side and then I'll move over or flip the belt end for end and then do the other side here. And I always start in the middle to keep my pattern centered as much as possible. Let's finish this spot here. Take a look at it. See, I've got that one shifted a little bit here. You see I've encroached that direction. I'm going to ignore that. I'm going to line up this tip here and this corner here. I think you get in trouble if you try to then let yourself get pushed. So I've said it before on these diamond patterns that every next stamp is your chance to correct your error. And I think if you approach it that way, then you're better off. Otherwise, everything gets exaggerated by the time you get to the other end. I'm going to go ahead and tool the rest of this strap here, and then I'll come back here and we can talk about this one. Let's take a look at this design here. Once again, this is the flowered diamond, and that's the B169 there. I like this size better. I like my reveal along here. I don't feel like I'm getting crowded on my stitch line. I don't think, adjust the size any on the diamond. I think it looks pretty good. All right, we have one more. Let's put this on my test here and see what this one is. This one here is called the Smooth Square Tuft, which is a B87. And let's take a look at that one. This is it here. I'm not sure which way I want to run that. Let's put a couple of test marks on my testing strip here. Do I want to run it this way? So you're probably wondering, do all of their tools have, you know, these, I'll call it points or corners to aid your lining up? And I can't say they are, but I looked for something that I thought I could line up decent. I don't know if I'd call that decent. Let me set it this other way. So this way, it's on a belt for me anyway. And you know, obviously, I do a lot of belts. You can use this on a journal cover, whatever you want to use it on. But I'm looking at it from a perspective of a belt. The one thing I noticed is I seem to get a little bit more bounce out of that one. Let me grab my heavier maul. And I think I'm going to end up setting this one on this one. So let me do a little testing here. Let me give you my center line here. I probably shouldn't have been that heavy-handed because this doesn't have a design that runs through the center. Yeah, I kind of messed myself up with that center line being heavy-handed. Probably takes a little bit of practice here. All right, so I played with a little bit here on this sample piece, and this just may not be my favorite stamp design, and that's just a me thing. But let me, I put a much lighter design on here, and instead of lining up the round part on there and center it, I guess it's kind of the same. I want that center line to be here. Maybe I just got it off center a little bit here. Let me try one more setting here. The other thing is, with this stamp, it's compressing a much larger area. When you look at, like, say, the Northstar, it's kind of a sharp pattern that cuts in easily. I'd have to be careful, but this one here, I'm compressing a lot of leather when I tool this. And so I've moved to my 18-ounce maul. Yeah, that's better than what I had there. And I also probably was a little bit lightly cased. So I cased this a little bit more, a little moisture into it. I think this really doesn't, this pattern, I really kind of think maybe this tool doesn't belong on a belt. But we'll see here what I come up with. But I think it would make a really cool looking journal cover. And I would probably set it on the diamond instead of square. This easier to run for me. I don't know which way's easier. Let me try it this way. So I'll line up both those circles there. This thing seems really sensitive. In other words, it's pretty easy to encroach on the other one and then have that show. Let me see if this cleans that up, but I don't think it's going to. Let me focus on this next corner here. I'll hook that corner, rotate it around here, and strike it. I'm going to continue running this, and I'm going to try it the other way as well. Let's see what it looks like when I get done here. So I'll be right back. So let's take a look. This is the B87 Smooth Square Tuft, and I really had to wail on it. Maybe I need more moisture in here. It's pretty well cased, I think. I've had moisture in it for quite a while here, but it took quite a bit. When I was doing my test stamps over here, I wasn't getting nearly the depth, and I did case this one a little bit more. And the result was I ended up with some of these bounces, which I'm going to think is just part of the process of learning this tool. I came over here and I ended up with a little bit funny overlaps when I tried to run it square. For me, and I think it looks better, it's better on the diamond for the way that I was lining that up. And I do have some burnish here on these. I don't think you end up with as much burnish, and I was striking it just about as hard as I dare. I've got lights and stuff around me here, so I had kind of a pathway. I had to get the mallet in there on it. So maybe I was also hitting it a little bit not square on there, but I think that's really pretty cool looking. It's a little bit big for me for a belt. If I had this tool in probably 75% of the size, I would end up with a a better margin like I have on here for my stitch line, because I hand stitch my belts, and hand stitching will work here. But if I did hand stitching here, I'd have to run right across these tips here, and I don't think that would look good. I think this pattern looks pretty cool, but it'll be interesting to see. The one thing that I noticed, it looked like that all the tools were like in one size. There's other tools that you can get in multiple sizes depending on, you know, how you want to use the tool. And I think that a lot of times that's handy to have. There's lots of tools here I've bought in like 2 or 3 sizes. But back to this, I think it looks pretty good. It got a little bit of a burnish there. I think if I was doing a journal cover, I would do it on the diamond. I mean, theoretically, it should be kind of the same to line it up, but it seemed like I had a hard time getting this center circle here cleanly set one on top of the other, more so than I did here. Maybe that's because when I'm setting these, maybe it's because of my lighting, but I'm lining up like here and then running out, whereas when I set it this direction, I can clearly see the 3. But once again, maybe it's just the way I'm holding the tool. I mean, with most tools, there's a learning curve that goes with it. Let's get a little bigger view of these 4 stamps. Let's take another look at this, and then we'll do a wrap up. But these are the 4 stamps that I've tested today, and there'll be links to each one of those in the description. And I may need your help in naming some of these belt designs, because I think when I'm looking at this, there's at least 2 of these that I feel confident I'll end up making a belt to put in inventory. Which 2 do you think it is? I'll tell you at the end. So in looking at these, I think this one set on the diamond's pretty good. The pattern is clean in between these tufts, and so you have to be a little bit careful. I can see my little crease line there that I created with the wing divider to find the center of the belt. So I may be tempted next time to do that in pencil and then erase that. You know, really depends on what you're doing. If I was doing a black belt, then I'd do it in pencil, and then when you dye it black, it's all going to go away. So that's the Tuft, and then this one was the Lined Box, which I really kind of like how that one came out as well. These points here that that you see here really helped me to line it up. There's one that I was off, but I think overall that really looks pretty good. I would be interested to see how it would do on like a complete like journal cover. Would it be easy to get so far off that you get completely out of whack? You can always run a secondary line to line off of and try to straighten yourself up some, but I'd mainly do belts. So I really like how that one turned out. This is the Northstar, and I tell you what, already I'm kind of excited about trying this one in black and then using my turquoise antiquing to set that pattern off. And the design is sharp enough, it's going to hold antiquing very well. And obviously you could do it in this natural and then use a dark brown antiquing in to highlight that as well, if you didn't want to go as flashy as the turquoise. And then this is the flower diamond, and it was the B169. And I know I've said it, but I'll put links in the description for that. And I like the diamond. I think I like my other diamond better. And they had more diamond patterns. This wasn't the only one. I was looking for something different than what I already had. Let's turn this around here real quick. So there you go. I hope you found today's video interesting. There are 4 different stamp designs here. I think I like the boxed line and the Northstar the most. The floral diamond's an interesting pattern, and maybe I just chose the wrong diamond, but I think I like the starburst diamond pattern better than the floral diamond. I don't know, I have to think on it. One of the nice things about that is there's enough going on here with the design within the diamond that if you have a couple of errant placed stamps, I don't think it's nearly as obvious. So time will tell. We'll see where that goes. This boxed line, I think, is just a beautiful stamp. I think it came out really nice. Back on it again, these stamps are $20 a piece. These were given to me, but they're $20 a piece. So for $20, I think it's worth taking a risk and seeing what you think of some of these designs. They have a lot of designs. I think the one thing that'll be interesting, and I'll probably reach out to them, or you know what, they'll probably be watching the video. They can comment in there. But if I said I wanted that stamp in you know, maybe 80% of the size, or maybe this Tuft in 75%, 25% smaller. I think I could fit that on a belt then, and I think I would make that in a belt. I want room to sew around it, and I don't think I really have room. And when I ordered that stamp, when I told them which one I wanted, I knew that was going to be a challenge there. But you know, you can use it on journal covers or other places as well. And set square here, I mean, I realize that you turn it like that, now it's set at a diamond, but I don't like how my skills align that set square, and it looks just, I think, really striking set on the diamond. So I'd really be interested in seeing what that looks like 75% of the size. And I don't know, maybe they can't do that. Here's the Northstar, and that was the first one I tried, and I really like that. I think what I'll do, I'm not going to do it in the video here, but I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a resist on this, and I think I'm going to take half of it and put either like dark brown or black antiquing in, and let's see what that looks like. So in the end of this, you'll see some photos, and that'll be in there. I'll get that done today and add it to the end of the video. So I guess I'm a little bit torn here. Not about the tools, but where to place this. Saturday's usually a project video, and Wednesday's a topic video. So I'm thinking this is going to be a Wednesday video, but if I do, it's going to be probably a little bit of a long video for that. Or do I make this a project video? I think what I'm going to do is I'll keep it on a Wednesday, but look for me to pick one of these, and I'll make a belt, and it'll be a project video down the road here a few weeks. But I do think, I think they came out nice. So it's up to you. You have to decide. Do you want to buy the brass stamps or the hardened steel stamps like you get from some of the other suppliers? And there's a mix of tools that you can get out there. And I know there's more people out there that make the brass tools than this company here. And I know there's a big box of leather store out there, and they have a bunch of brass tools as well. But 20 bucks a piece, small business, and yeah, that's what you get. I've talked this around the horn enough. Give me a comment. Let me know what you think. Is it worth the risk of buying these? And it'll be interesting to see, you know, how they hold up from abuse. And I'm not sure if I throw them in my rack here, you know, banging one against the other. It is brass, which is a softer metal than those tools there, or do I need to keep them in their tubes? You know what? We'll see if the company that provided these can give us their feedback on the durability as far as in the tool rack there as well. Anyway, enough said here. Please like, share, and subscribe. But more importantly, I hope you have a great day. Hey, check out and see what that looks like antique to follow right here. I tell you what, I think they all look really nice with the antiquing on there. This is oiled and resin. This is antique. I haven't put the finish coat on it yet, so it'll have a little bit more sheen. Let me know what you think.